Hello everyone. Today I'm going to show you how to color images that you want either black or white, which are, in my opinion, two of the trickiest colorings to do with Copics. So I'm going to show you my way. I'm sure there's other ways, but this is how I would do it. And I'm using one of these gorgeous girls, which I love. And I'm going to do her hair black, and then I'm going to do a second one, and I'm going to show you how I do her dress in black. And then I'm going to come back and do this dress in white so that you can kind of see a combo of those. And I also have a little pink gem design stamp of a dog that I will do in white also. So kind of a combo of images. For black hair, I use my grays, and I use C3, C5, C7, and C9. And like I said before, it is a little tricky to do the black, but on a lot of images you can kind of see where you want the highlights. So in this particular image, the more open spots I'm going to leave for the lightest color. And again, I use my darkest color first, and I'm using C9. And I'm going to go in and color the areas that I want to be the darkest. And the reason that you color with the grays instead of a black is so that you get highlighting. If you just colored with the black marker, or even just with the C9, you would cover up the lines, the shading in the image, and it would look very flat and dull. So that's why you kind of want to use some of the grays. I know some people use the warmer grays. I particularly don't like the way it looks when I do it, and I found that the C's work better for me, but you know, that's a personal preference again. And with the black hair, you really have to work it. So lots of times I go back and add more color if I feel that it needs to. And now I'm just taking my C7 and I'm going back in and coloring over and close to what I've already done. And I think I've said before, if you're investing in grays, do every other one. You don't really need every single one. I skip every one. The only exception is I do have a C2, so I have C1, C2, and then I've skipped to C3. And then I'm going to use the C5, and again I'm leaving some of these broader white areas open because I'm going to use that for my lightest shade. And of course you don't want this little girl to look like a, no offense, but a gray-haired granny or an old person. So no offense to those that have gray. My husband has gray hair, but you certainly don't want a little girl looking gray. And then I'm going to go in and use my C3, and this is the lightest that I use for black hair because I tend to find that C1 and C2 are too light, and then there's too much of a contrast and it really looks too gray instead of like a nicely blended black. So I'm going in here with my C3, and I'm just, didn't really blend, I just wanted to lay down some color. I'm going to take my C5 because I see a few spots here that I want to darken up just a little bit. And of course my dogs have decided to make a presence in my video again. I know some of you have requested to see them, but I will have some pictures of them up soon. My little stamping companions, as I call them. Now I'm going to go back in with my lightest, and I'm just going to go over and blend. Working in circles to just kind of get rid of those harsh edges. And that's how I would do her black hair, and then you can always go in This is my Sharpie extra fine poster paint pen, and you could go in and add a few more extra highlights if you felt it needed it. So moving right along, I'm going to show you how I would do her dress, which is a little bit of a different technique. I'm going to have my light source coming in from this right side. So obviously the left side of her dress, and I'm going to actually color over the hearts. Normally I wouldn't, but for purposes of saving time on the video, I'm going to. And I'm just coloring, using my darkest color, basically just to outline the bottom of her dress and the side that is getting the least amount of light. And that's with my C9, my C7, just coloring along those areas and forward just a bit. And then C5 is going to take up a good portion of this, because I do want her dress to look black, not so much of a gray. And then taking my C3, you could use C2 also, and I'm just going to go in and blend using circles. The best way to really soak in and blend your colors. I'm going to tilt this just a bit. And you can go back in, like I want to take my C5 again, and I want to darken this area up a little bit more. Like I said, it's always easier to go back and add than to have to take away. I'm taking my darkest tone again and just darken this up just a little bit more. And like I said, with black it tends to be a little harder. You have to work at it a little bit more to get it to the tone that you want. And then of course I always go back with my lightest color and blend in what I've just done. And that's how I would do her dress. You can really see that the light is coming this way, and the side of her dress is definitely shaded more. And then I would go in and, you know, put in a couple highlights. No rhyme or reason to how I do the highlights, just how I feel that I like them. So that would be the dress. This would be the hair. A little bit different techniques, because you're obviously on hair going to leave a few different areas lighter. Whereas on a clothing or solid object, you really want it to blend from dark to lightest the best.